Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast with Michael Cole and Matthew Cravat. I am Michael Cole.
And I am Matthew Cravat.
Yeah. So, first off, before we get into the topic, I want to say to you, the audience, to you, Matthew, and to you, Alex.
Is it time? Is it time to say it?
I want to say thank you all for 100 episodes. This is our 100th episode. It has been great, and it's not our last episode. I know that I'm probably sounding
it's my 99th episode,
but
I wasn't on the first one. I wasn't your first guest. That's what I'm saying.
You were Chocolate, Diamond, and then on the second episode we introduced the Media LLC.
Okay, there you
go. But yeah, 100th episode, so that's kind of cool. So tonight's topic is platonic love, and so I wanted to talk about this. I want to talk about the word love in general, but I thought focusing on platonic because we've talked a lot about sex and relationships, and I thought that going on platonic would be a little more interesting. So, as you guys know,
I don't get it often.
No. As you guys know, I'm having some. I've been having some mental health issues that I've been dealing with and taking care of, and I've been getting, as one of the things that happens when you do that, I've been getting a lot of people telling me that they love me, and I am very grateful for that. I am not a person who uses that word really outside of family. And Sarah and Logan, well, they're family, obviously, but Wait,
I think we need to draw into that a little bit. That's like J.D. Vance always saying, "My wife has 2 kids."
Yeah. But I'm not somebody who uses the word often. But
what word? Can you even say? Can't even say it.
Love. I there's been moments, and so that people, I've always thought that people kind of threw it around a lot, and I have.
I tell people on the first date, I said, I share love on the first date. It's I close with that. I love on the first date.
Nice, but I don't know.
Copyright Alex, 1997.
Okay, it is funny that you just said that though, because one of the reasons why I don't like using the word is because I used the word to get laid one time. I think because I used it that one time in one of my most scumbag fuckboy moments that I just haven't been comfortable using it outside of it. And I will say also, I wasn't throwing it around with friends and stuff before that. So that was just a moment of real, yeah. Oh, okay. Guess you're in Ohio over there.
Delicious. Delicious. Anyway. Sorry, audio people. I'm eating a cat.
Speaking of
I
love,
also do on the first date.
Anyway, the 2 people the 2 or 3 people that have said that they loved me in the last couple weeks because of my mental health stuff, it's been very platonic. They've been guys, and I'd
say I love you because of your mental health stuff.
They've been saying it because of that. I don't think they've been loving me.
I don't know where the quotation marks are. I couldn't say.
I will also say that I don't consider myself homophobic, but I think that I have not had. Yeah, this is going down that rabbit hole, huh? I have not had that relationship with guys really before, where friendship with guys where we say it, and maybe that is partly me not wanting to alienate them as much.
And you don't have any brothers. You only have sister. I mean, brother-in-law doesn't count. You didn't grow up with telling a brother "I love you" to then be able to say, "Man, I love you," and be thinking like a brother because you don't have a brother, and you only have a sister, so you haven't had a platonic relationship like that. You've only had sex with your sister.
So much I have to cut out of this podcast.
It's the 100th episode. I thought maybe they're watching.
There's no way. They're definitely not watching live. But yeah. So anyway, Has love has expressing love within a platonic sense ever been an issue for you?
Nah, you know me. I was raised by hippies. The love word was thrown around platonically as friend things all the time. Yeah. So I've never had. I have childhood friends and stuff that I end the phone calls with "I love you," all the time. And adult friends I've met in adulthood also. It comes out easy for me with some people, depending on the situation. But yeah, there's not a no prescription against it. Men and women,
Yeah,
children, pets,
yeah. I think if I was okay, I'm going to throw out some
even when I'm sober.
you know, sobriety, lack of sobriety definitely helps. But what I was going to say is that I'm going to create a scenario. Okay, let's say that I am very not desperate sexually, but not in a relationship. So I'm not with Sarah in this hypothetical, but I'm not like trying really, really wanting or needing sex or I'm just kind of content. So not sex, not romance, anything. And let's say I have in the situation a friend who I consider to be extremely attractive. If she said she loved me in a in a platonic way, I would feel uncomfortable. So it's not entirely, to me, it's the idea of platonic love.
It's
It's
platonic intimacy that you're afraid of.
yes, and so it's not an exclusively man on man thing, and I would say I'm not like I'm not uncomfortable when I'm uncomfortable initiating it. I guess as much as I am regardless of man or woman, of initiating it,
What?
and I don't know how to react all the time when it is given to me.
Okay, so when you're taking it from a man or a woman,
Yeah,
which makes you more uncomfortable? Hot woman or buddy boy?
probably a hot woman. Because like Pat and Wes, I feel like you've met Pat and Wes. Yeah, they've both been on the podcast with you. I feel like the three of us are pretty okay at saying it occasionally. Adam, I don't know if you know this or not. Adam has never even hugged me. You know,
Because he doesn't exist. I mean, I'm glad for your mental health that you don't think he has a physical corporate being that can hug you, but yeah, we'll just move on. We'll move
he exists. He's like Santa Claus or the M&Ms. He exists. Um, he owns 25% of this fucking company. So
on. So does Tyler Durden. Okay, I get it.
yeah, but did Tyler Durden have a social security number?
He probably did. He flew.
That's true. Um, no, so Adam and I have never hugged. He kind of in his best man speech at my wedding, which was 10 years ago this past Saturday, just saying, you know. He expressed some positive emotion. I don't remember if the word love was in there or not. The written down version, which he sent me and I have still, is not what he delivered in front of all the people either. But like, needless to say, I've just Pat and Wes. I would say that I'm relatively
Can I
comfortable
can
with,
I
but
can I can I do his speech? Can I do his speech whether I envision it? If he existed.
as long as it doesn't get real racist.
No, 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 not doing it in character. Just want everyone to here know that I've known Mike for a long time, and we were in the trenches at the phone company, which shall not be mentioned because I don't want to get sued by them. And we had to deal with mass holes coming in every day. But he had my back, I had his back. And man, I just want to tell you, Sarah, you're getting a hell of a guy. Mike, I like you. That's the way I think.
I'm excited. I'm excited to play that back in the edit and listen to what you actually said because most of it cut out.
Oh,
Uh,
dang. Ooh,
no, it's
all my
fine. It's
profanity.
yeah. Anyway, so that's yeah. Like I would say that I with those two guys with Pat and Wes, I'm relatively comfortable. Here's the other thing. Much like you and Alex, Pat and Wes and I can have conversations about some stuff that I would say that your average guy doesn't want to talk about. Like you mentioned butt stuff earlier as a topic, potential topic for the show. Which, spoiler alert to listeners, we may end up doing an episode on butt stuff. If when I have a colonoscopy, which I will probably need to have this year because I am 40.
I've
But
got a setup in the garage if you want to come over tomorrow.
yeah, but like we can talk about like butt stuff and not like doing butt stuff to somebody else, but having butt stuff done to us. With like Pat and Wes and I can have that conversation. So like that's not. So when I say we don't have your average guy on guy friendship, we're not
Sounds
like,
like a
oh,
guy
did
on
you
guy
check the?
friendship.
Did you guys see the game last week? You want to get a brewski? No, we're not like that. We're very much like we're very.
Growing up in Massachusetts must have sucked. I think if that's your idea of what a normal relationship is.
Well, I mean,
I'm with you.
I,
You were doing butt stuff with the
I'm going to
guys.
say something. I'm going to say something that, in this context, kind of sounds like a slur, but it's because of the Boston accent that it makes
Everything sounds like a
it
slur with
makes
a
it feel
Boston
so
accent.
right, or make not so right, but like like if you said stuff like that in if you said stuff like that when I was a kid with your guy friends, everyone would think you were queer. You're a queer,
Yeah.
So I you look like you have somebody on the side trying to get your attention.
My wife is pouring wine. I see wine.
Nice.
It's not for me.
Nice. I had a very nice glass of kind of wine was it? It was one of the sweet ones. I can't remember. Sarah ordered it at dinner on our anniversary. It's the only alcohol that I've drank since I've been going through this depression. Well, that and like the tiniest taste of what Alex brought to my party. But
you gave me orange cello at your party. Knock my ass. Knock me on my ass. What are you talking about?
I didn't have any of it. I had some of it 5 months ago when we
Yeah.
first started making it, but the orangello was good though, right?
It was. It was very nice.
Yeah. My
I recently
sister-in-law.
saw a video of someone making like an orangello spritzer. So it was orangello and a little bit of sparkling water and maybe something else. Maybe prosecco.
Yeah, nice. Moscato is what we had the other day at dinner.
Prosecco with sugar.
Is that what it is?
I mean, it's a sweet version.
So it wasn't really sparkling, but
yeah, it's just they're both sparkling wines, but Moscato is like a dessert one that's sweet. Generally, Prosecco is not.
Yeah. So anyway, I am uncomfortable with emotions.
Yeah. So I grew up in the folk music world, and lots of hugging, lots of guy hugging and stuff. And it's really funny is I have these friends who were kind of a little bit of local celebrities in the gay community in North Carolina because they were one of the 6 couples that sued against Amendment 1, which was the amendment saying no gay marriage in North Carolina before the Obergefell decision. So they were in the news all the time being interviewed. And but one time I was at one of them was a musician. He was playing piano for a friend of mine who was singing, and we came over to hug, and we hugged, and I did like the usual 3 smacks on the back, and he turns to his husband, and he goes, "Matthew lets us down. He did the smacks." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "That's straight for I'm not gay." I was like, "What? I never heard that before." So I very intentionally never smack someone's back when I'm hugging them after that.
I rub. I'm not a big hugger either. I'm not, and I'm
Push
not.
my whole body. I try to get a full body press.
So I'm not a
I
big
want to
hugger.
know if you're circumcised at the end of the hug. That's my goal. I get a nice tight snug fit.
Yeah. No, I'm not a big hugger. I am like I hug Sarah and Logan pretty comfortably, but everybody else, if I'm like my mom, like it doesn't matter who else it is. Like if I'm hugging you, like just know that like it's not you. If you think, oh, he's not into this, it's not you. It is everyone but Sarah and Logan. I'm not into hugging. But I'll do it, and I'm I would feel like you have people in your life that if you didn't do that and you never saw them again, you'd feel bad, right? And like, so I need to start looking at expressing love the same way. And like, I don't want to create an awkward relationship with it, for Logan, witnessing. I don't want to be,
You need to model healthy behaviors you want him to have.
yeah,
Healthy attitude about people can have emotions and not be stoic, not be massholes.
yeah, yeah. Which is, like my dad, I don't think my dad was bad about it. My dad is, I think he he's not a like, again, he'll tell me and my sister and my mom that he loves us. He does that now with Sarah and Logan, that he tells them that he loves them and he hugs them. And he hugs when we go to stuff, and he's always kind of hugged like certain people when we go to stuff, but he's never. It's been very clear that he's not into it, and but it's that it's I think it was very much a I'm not. This is this is a very specific thing that I only really hug my close family, and I also think like my mom's side of the family is way more physically affectionate in a way that they're Italian, so like it's just a different thing. Like there isn't the physical affection can be there without it being like there can be man on man physical affection.
They brought over the European convention of more physical affection.
Yeah,
More,
I remember. Was it Thanksgiving? I think it was Thanksgiving. Of It was Thanksgiving when I was like a middle teenager, so like 14, 15, 16. Definitely not an adult, not like 12, 13. And we showed up to something, and my grandfather gave everybody a kiss on the lips, and he went in, and this is my mom's dad. He went in to give my dad a kiss, and my dad arm locked him at a certain length, and my grandfather just pulled, and they just like struggled for like a minute and a half, and my dad was laughing, and they're like, "I'm not gonna kiss you, Carl. I'm not gonna do it," and like, and it, I don't know, lasted a minute, and so that kind of explains my entire outlook on non-romantic affection.
Yeah,
So
Joseph and I, my son, new listeners, my son Joseph, who lives in the house and he's 26, almost 26. We will hug when we pass in the hall. Like there's a little random hug time. And when Jacob comes home, we
oh, yeah,
hug hello and goodbye all the time. But just when I would just random hug, just not a lot of hello and goodbyes. But and I always think it's important that physical displays of affection are normalized and part. I mean, but I grew up that way too. It was normal. My dad was a hugger. You know
yeah,
what we did. I mean, like, and within certain of my friend circles, there's lots of hugging going on. Like, friends we go, meet up at the bar, and like people get up out of their chair to come around and hug each other, on our arrivals and stuff.
yeah,
So it's one of those things where I have to remember at work, don't hug John, because one of my coworkers I've known for 20 something years, and I would certainly hug him outside of work. But we're in the office. I'm like, I probably shouldn't hug John. It would be great in the office.
yeah. I I hug Logan all the time. But again, it's different. He's 8. I want to
Yeah,
be,
that's
and
why I
I
was pointing
hope
out my
that,
son's age because it's a different thing,
yeah.
but it
I,
shouldn't be different. Like
I
it
was gonna
should.
say, I hope that when Logan's 26, that I mean, I don't know if he'll still be living with me or not, but I hope that the hugging is still pretty
Well, when
regular.
Jacob comes home to visit, he doesn't live with us.
Yeah,
He lives a couple of 100 miles away, but we hug when he gets here,
good. Yeah. So I hope that that's the case for me,
and they hug
and
each
me
other.
and Logan.
The boys and Leo all hug each other. And,
Yeah,
casual hugs are common.
good. I'm going to tell a story, and I've only told this story once before. I think I told it to Sarah, and the response that I got was really just like, "Oh, that's really sad." So I feel like you'll love it. You'll be really excited to hear it because it's pathetic and sad. A big part of the reason why I don't like hugging specifically, more so than love, is in 7th grade when I was starting to get bullied. and was on the, like, I had no friends. I was still getting invited to parties because these were like pool parties and parties where like the parent was like making an invitation list of all the kids.
You're in the
And
class, you got to be invited.
so I was getting invited, and I was in this weird state of I don't remember if it was that I wanted to go or that I didn't want my parents to know I didn't want to go or what the case was. But I would get there and everybody was in the throes of puberty. And the guys, like the popular guys and the popular girls, would all hug. They'd give you, whether if it was your, even if it was somebody else's girlfriend, you would hug when you got there, and and everyone was doing it. And I remember trying to like be natural and do what everyone else was doing, and getting a no response from like several girls, and being like, oh, people don't want to hug me. And from that moment on, I have never been comfortable initiating a hug unless I'm in a relationship with someone or it's my son. Like,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
you were just ahead of the curve, because back then hugging was you could force a hug on someone kind of thing. Someone for hugging, it was sometimes socially unacceptable to pull away from a hug. Where now it's all about affirmative consent, even for a hug. And we've talked about that at work once. That like um, some of the women who worked for my agency, we were talking once about the meeting about boundaries and stuff when we go out drinking and stuff, so we want to make sure we're all not offending each other and whatever. And she talked about how it's awkward sometimes because there's people like she was like one of the people was saying like I would hug you Matthew and I would hug you Josh, but that doesn't mean if there's a third member of your company here they can hug me when at the door when I come in.
yeah,
So people make the assumption that oh this is a hugging greeting, but it's not for everyone. Like you need permission to hug in that greeting.
yeah. It's like the N word.
Ever since you
You can
started
use the
working
word,
for the
and I can use
National,
no.
every time you started working for the National Review, you've been a little uppity.
I don't even like using that word.
Like that. It's
Anyway,
very
but
clearly using it in a racist joke against you, so I think that allows the use of the word in an appropriate manner that conveys the comedy without the negativity.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm not. But so anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so I have
The
a tendency to adopt family members. Like there are a number of women in my life who I refer to as my sister, like who call me up and say, "What's up, bro?" and stuff like that. That at various stages, like even like back in college, who were you know girl I hung out with a lot, who we were never into each other, other than as friends. And she'd come back from school to my house in Brooklyn for the weekend, like whether my parents were there or not. But it was always platonic. And generally, we said we like brother and sister, like used to generally refer to her as like my sister from school,
yeah,
except for the time that she was washing my dad's car. She got up early and her dad owned a car lot. So dad's car was dirty. So she just opened the garage, pulled out the soap and bucket and started scrubbing the hell out of his car like she would when she worked on the lot growing up. And my friend's father walks out and goes, "Hey, you going to do my car next?" And she was very pretty. And she looks up and as sweet as can be, she says, "But I'm not engaged to your son." So the next time I came home, like 2, 3 weeks later, whatever, to do laundry, everyone's congratulating me on being engaged because the whole block thought I was engaged
to a hottie.
to a hottie. She was a hottie.
Yeah. So it's funny that you say the thing about adopting, like, or like the found family adopting thing. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I first started hanging out with you, Sarah was like, "He looks like he could be like an older version of you," and to the point where at in the last year you flew somewhere. I think you were flying to Houston, and you had a picture of yourself with the mask on at the airport. And Sarah said to her dad,
I know, Mike.
who is
I was in
who
I was
is
in it was Dallas, but yeah,
Dallas?" Okay, she showed her picture, her dad the picture, and goes, "Do you know who that is?" And Logan goes, "It's Mike." And she goes, "No, it's not." And I'm like, we don't look that much alike, but I think that like
Did you just call your dad Logan?
no, Sarah's dad.
Is his name Logan? You
Did I
just
call
said
him
Logan
Logan?
said Mike. Said Logan said it's Mike,
Oh, no,
which
no,
sounds weird because Logan doesn't usually call you Mike. He calls you
no.
Dipshit.
Logan does call me Mike. He Logan likes that. He used to do it a lot, or he would. Oh, actually, when he was little, to piss me off, or to like because he knew it was the wrong thing, and he would do it to be like silly, not to be like a jackass. He would call me mom, and then at a certain point, he would start being like Mike or Michael. No, I think it was Mike. So yeah, so he knows he does stuff like that. But no, I didn't. That was just an accident. But yeah,
Freudian slip. You want to hug him so badly, but you can't do it unless you pretend that he's Logan.
I've never hugged my father-in-law.
So I'm saying
We've
you
talked
want to
about
hug
that
him
for it.
so badly, but the only way you possibly could is if you cast him in your mind as Logan. Then it would be okay.
Today on the phone, was it today or was it yes? It might have been last night. I forget. It was in the last 24 hours or so. We were on the phone with him, and he said, "All right, Sarah, I love you. All right, Logan, I love you. All right, Mike, I like you." And I was
Do
like, "Yeah, I like you too." But
you like
he's
him or do you like him?
all right. Well, I don't love the implication there. That's making me uncomfortable. Yeah. So anyway, maybe this is not a topic that I had enough to talk about.
Yeah, so it's funny. Um, at my father's funeral, I had well, not at the funeral itself, but in the Facebook post. I was writing something. It wasn't when I was writing the eulogy. It was when I was writing the Facebook post that I made from my dad's account um, with my brother's tag and stuff. I was listing family on behalf of me and Madhavi and Jacob, Joseph and Leah and Jeremy and Jocelyn and and listening. And then I got to you know, listing all the family members and I'm getting grandkids stuff. But I I feel like my adopted sisters that are not legally adopted, they're just kind of found family, need to get mentioned. So I then and so I said like his children and his grandchildren there, but and his found family like uh Mara and Cheryl and and then two people who I don't care about. Um, my brother kind of adopted a couple as his son-in-law's cousins as cousin and spouse as extra kids of his. And I'm like, he likes to think my dad adopted them as grandchildren. He met them once, but I put their names in there. But like I listed found family because our family kind of was raised on embracing other people with love and having them be part of our family. And then my kids grew up calling my closer friends uncle and aunt all the time, especially Cheryl and Mara because they were kind of my sisters, so they always Aunt Cheryl.
Yeah,
I mean, my kids are adults and they still call Cheryl Aunt Cheryl when she's here or when they talk to her, even though they're very aware I met her when I was 40, but she's still Aunt Cheryl.
yeah,
And but I do like Mikey is Uncle Mikey. Even though they're adults, and they're old enough to be on a first name basis with him, the uncle part has always stuck.
yeah. It's weird that like I have such, and I think we may have talked about this on the Found Family episode, but I have such like a natural aversion to some of these things. But my family does some of them. Like my family doesn't throw the titles there, but like Thanksgiving, for example, was always a time when you could bring somebody that didn't have anywhere to go. Like an uncle brought a friend one time because he was like in town on business for a month and didn't really have anywhere else to go. And the guy came, and when it was time to say grace, someone jokingly said, "Oh, you're the new guy. You have to say grace." And he did this like grace that everyone thought was beautiful, and so they're like, "Oh, he's great." And they would, and that those kind of things happen all the time. Like you bring people to it, but at no
Yeah, we
point
do
did it
we do
like
that
cross
Passover a
over.
lot. Thanksgiving and Passover,
Yeah,
both those will do that.
yeah. And so it's weird that I am like I have like a mental block on it while it isn't like that out of the ordinary. It's just the
Yeah.
terminology, I suppose, and like the specific words, but the acts themselves are there.
It's funny because I grew up like calling my dad's business partner Uncle Lee, even though I mean, before he was his best friend in pharmacy school, so he was calling him that before they actually even got into the business together. When I was a toddler, I called him that. Then they actually became partners. So I had to learn to call him Leon as I got older because I worked for them part time, and that would be weird.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it was
My
always in my head. There was a silent uncle in my head all the time.
I have an uncle who's my mom. It's actually my only biological uncle, and when you go to his work, you can't refer to him by the name. You refer to like it's not a it's not like an inappropriate name, but he goes by Chet in the whole family, but his name is Carl. And if you go to his work, if you go to work, you got to call him Carl. You can't be like, "Hey, Uncle Chet," in front of like if there's a
Yeah.
client there or anything. If you know,
Right.
but
So I when I was in college, and when I moved down to NC State, I transferred to the state. There was this guy who came by a fraternity party during like rush time, like beginning of the semester, and people went over, and we were all very friendly because you don't know who you might want to join the fraternity, whatever. And he had no desire to join a fraternity; he was just coming to the party. And so when people said, "What's your name?" to be an asshole, he goes, "Skip." So everyone's calling him Skip, and he had a really good time and really liked all of us. So someone invited him back to dinner to meet us on a quieter time. When he came back, everyone called him Skip. He ended up joining the fraternity, and his name was Skip for 4 years in college. He was Skip because of one joke, and no, not like we didn't even realize that's like it wasn't his nickname in high school. And we all know his real name, but it's still Skip. And a couple of years ago, I'm getting on a plane at RDU, to go on a business trip, and I'm walking past him, like he's like, or he's walking past me, I don't know which, but I was like, "Hey, Skip." And he's like, "Hey, Matthew, how you doing?" I'm like, "Good." And his business coworkers are with him, and they go, "Skip." I go, "Skip," and I'm like, "Oh, I should have called him Chris. But that was a mistake."
at
Like, because he's only skipped to his fraternity brothers. Like, wasn't even his college nickname. It was just to us.
least it's not like at least it wasn't like, "Hey, ballsack."
Yeah. Well, I too. My old boss, who was indirectly your old boss, Suzanne. She her daughter's special needs and went to the special learning disabilities school. It's a really great school. And the director of the school posted something on she posted something about, a fundraiser they were doing. And the director of the school posted on her Facebook page, and his name was Scott. And I wrote back saying, "Yeah, Sherby, Suzanne's good at that kind of thing, whatever." And he's like, "Hey, Matthew, what's up, man?" I'm like, and he's one of my fraternity brothers. And his nickname in college was Sherby because he wore like orange and green like sweaters all the time, like Sherbert. And she posted like, "Wait a second, how did you guys know each other, and why did you call him Sherby?" Like that's who he forever is in my head.
Yeah, I
That
I'm
my
gonna
nickname
tell.
people didn't use in public because it was Motley Jew.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, Motley Crue
So
was big at the time, and I would sing
I
since I would sing "Goys Goys Goys" instead of "Girls Girls Girls" in response.
nice. So 10 years ago, I was working at this job with. I was hired with two other people, and we were all doing the same job. And we would talk a lot on lunch and stuff, and we got to pretty friendly with each other. And one day, the woman that got hired with us goes, "Wait, did you have any nicknames in like in middle school or high school?" And I said, "Yeah, I had one, and then I used the F slur." And because it was okay to say it at that point in that context still, or at least I felt comfortable doing so. And uh, and she just about spit out whatever she was like drinking, and the guy goes, "Weird. I think a lot of us had that nickname in high school." So I don't use that word anymore. Actually, I don't think I ever used that word. I think I only used it referring to myself, but I don't, which I think always made me feel okay with it. But
It got used a
it's,
lot when I was a kid, but in this thing, I think it was the '70s, and George Carlin had a routine about it, and nobody thought that it meant gay. Like that's not even what it meant. It just, like we didn't even, like as kids, didn't even know that's what it was. We just knew it's a slur you can use against each other. That was not as
yeah,
bad as the other F word.
I actually think yeah that's worse than the other F word. But yeah, I get your point.
Well, I
For
mean, but I
I
mean, to
grew up
us,
think I grew up thinking
it was just it was a mild oath. We didn't even know what the derivation of it was. I mean, not that we even understood. Like we knew what gay was, but that was like you'd say someone was the F word. Like George Carlin's routine was, you'd be like, he's an F word. He's too much of a, he's an F word. He doesn't want to go down and beat up the gays with us. Like,
oh yeah,
like it didn't mean gay. He didn't use gays. He used a different word for that too. But it's like he just meant someone who, you know, a negative connotation, but didn't, but that's not what we thought when we said it.
Yeah, yeah,
It doesn't make it appropriate now. No, I'm not arguing that it was right. I'm saying we didn't even know. We just knew it was a word we picked up.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I grew up in Massachusetts, which I think you can imagine was pretty homophobic, even in ways that we didn't understand necessarily. I also grew up in an era where that's so gay or you're gay, like not like
Yeah, that's
not
after my
even
time
you're
too.
gay, but like oh yeah, but
Yeah,
they were like oh like anything that you didn't like was oh that's so gay, like
yeah, I'm
and it's
familiar with that. But even that, at the time it was happening, people were like, "Do you realize how mean that is?" You're saying
yeah oh yeah yeah.
like why people knew that was wrong at the time it was happening,
I
but
was
they was coming back right
probably a
away.
sophomore in high school and I said it and someone like took me aside and she was very nice about it, but she's like, I don't get the feeling that you dislike gay people, but when you say that, it sounds like you do. So you should like not do that. And I don't think I've done
Yeah,
it since then. I
yeah, I was
hope I
already
haven't done it since then. But
like it was slang for people younger than younger that young that people your age were using when I was older. So like it was not something that I was never in the age group for. It was like, why are they using that as a negative? Like that's a weird like for us it was like, why are you doing that? That doesn't even make sense. Like I don't even get why that's an insult. Why that's a thing.
if I could go back in time to when like I don't want to say slurs were okay to use, but when they were not like going to end
When
your
we didn't know they were not
yeah, yeah.
was
When you if you said it even on TV, you weren't necessarily going to like lose your livelihood or job or anything. If I could go back to those times, what I would do is I would use the slurs for the complete wrong things. So I would just be like, like I would just mix match them, like an old lady walking down the street and be like, check out this F slur, and like just really like try to degrade not the I don't want to like degrade the meaning of the words. Like that's what I think I would do.
yeah. There's a back when I was young, when I was in puberty, there were movies that were made solely for the purpose of teenage boys seeing boobs because
Yeah,
there wasn't an internet. That's how you
yeah.
saw boobs. So
Porkies.
case in point, Porky. So that Porky's was going to say the only reason Porky's existed really was a comedy, but it was a comedy about boobs. Except it had one serious through line in it. There was one Jewish character,
Hmm.
and the bad kids were heavily anti-Semitic and were picking on him all the time. And then kind of all the nerdy kids got together and they got revenge with him on the kids who were abusing him anti-Semitically. And but it took place like in the late 50s, early 60s or something like that. You know, it wasn't like a modern day show. So it made sense that that was a big anti-Semitic time when it was okay for most people to be anti-Semitic in the context of the movie. But then the cool kids got the cool kids. The heroes who were the nerds became friends with the Jewish kid and then realized it wasn't cool. But there was one scene where the guy's trying to insult him, so he walks around going, "I feel like flying a kite. Anybody want to fly a kite? Anyone know about a kite around here?" Just saying it over and over again before the Jewish kid finally goes, "You're saying it wrong,"
Yeah,
and corrects him, which I probably shouldn't correct him anymore. But it was like it was
no.
never. But it was really just funny too because it was like being a kid in the early '80s when I were watching that. It was like, is that what Jews are called? Are we called that? Like we had never heard it. Like it wasn't a popular slur
Oh yeah,
anymore.
yeah, yeah. I learned
Especially around Jews, I guess, so we wouldn't know. But
yeah
maybe it was being said, just not to our
I
faces.
I learned almost every Jewish stereotype or insult that I know
Working for me.
from it being from it. Yeah, you just inspire them though. No, from bullies from when I was in seventh and eighth grade, being like the one kid with like Jewish heritage in a Catholic school and a large nose, and I would get like constant shit. And, like the one thing that I remember is that anytime someone had ham in their sandwich at lunch, they would like hold it up like an inch from my face and say, Jewish dilemma,
Jewish
ham
dilemma.
half off. And I would be
So,
like, I like bacon. I don't like ham, but I like bacon. Now I like ham, but I
so,
didn't at the
so,
time.
so my neighborhood was probably 40% Jewish, 40% Italian, 20% other stuff. Um, and one half the neighborhood was like 80% Jew, 20% Italian. The other half was like 80% Italian, 20% Jew kind of thing. Like it was heavied up on either side of Remsen Avenue. And my friend Jack, who's half Jewish, half Italian, his pizzeria was on the Italian side, and I used to hang out there all the time. And we'd go behind this grocery store and play football in their back parking lot, like where the trucks pull up and stuff. So there's not really people don't really generally park there. And for some reason, this one kid who was a neighborhood kid there, I didn't really know well, one of Jack's friends, just was pissed at me. And like maybe we used to play one bump off the line, and even if you hadn't touched in the street. So maybe I bumped him hard because he kept like getting pissed. And so at some point, he just goes on an anti-Semitic tirade at me, screaming and cursing at me, and full of anti-Semitic shit. And I am not particularly fast. I'm tall and I have long legs, but I'm not fast. Um, so he starts running away, and there's no way I'm going to catch him. And he goes running past Jack, whose father's from Sicily. They own a pizzeria in the neighborhood. He's super Italian. Shoots his foot out. The kid hits his foot and goes face first onto the street. And Jack looks at it and goes, "Do you fucking know my mother's Jewish?" And it was one of the best "you got what was coming to you" moments ever.
My favorite comeback of all time is it was a kid, two guys that I went to college with the first time before I dropped out, and one of them he was constantly saying anti-Semitic shit to a Jewish kid that I went to school with, and you know it was a time where a lot of us were like joking around with him, but there's a context too, right? And so this guy was just like, if we were all making the jokes, he was just kind of hard R-ing the jokes a lot more than the rest of us, and we were going a little more back and forth, whereas he was just like Jew, like just like being real bad about it. So I don't even remember the joke, but he said something. It was probably like it's the anniversary of my grandfather dying in Auschwitz, falling off the guard tower kind of joke, and he says the joke, and the kid loses it, and he's just like fucking pissed, and then they like go their separate ways, and we were on the TV, we worked on the college TV channel, and um, we go to go to air, and he's supposed to read the guy that was making the anti-Semitic jokes goes to read the sports updates, but he refuses to wear his glasses on screen because he thinks they make him look weird. But he is extremely nearsighted to like a degree that is like, I mean, borderline like blind otherwise. So in order to read, he does this. Like, and I'm not exaggerating. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
how he reads. So he pulled up a piece of paper.
His name wasn't Jeff, was it?
No.
Okay, good. Because I had a friend
Why?
named Jeff who was like legally blind, and that's how
Oh.
he read. And I was like, I hope it's
So
not Jeff.
so he reads the sports scores or whatever it is that he's reading, and it cuts to the Jewish kid. And he goes, "Thanks, Dan. Never seen anybody read by sense of smell before." And just keeps going in with his. And I was laughing so hard. And when we cut to go to an ad or whatever, the guy loses his fucking mind. He is like, he can't say that to me on air. We were live in front of the whole campus, and we're like, dude, you've been saying anti-Semitic shit to him for months, and like you've just been going in on the anti-Semitic shit with him, and he gets one good one, and he waited for on air for it, and he like wanted to
He
pummel him.
anchormaned you.
Yeah, it was amazing. By reading by sense of smell. I do not condone making fun of handicapped people with vision loss,
So,
but
so I just want to say, everyone, that we're talking about platonic friendships, relationships, and we're not implying that Plato was anti-Semitic, but you know he was. You know he was. That's what we're
was
saying.
Plato it?
That's the message. I don't know.
How
Were there
how
Jews then? I
long?
don't even know what year it was.
I was gonna say I was just about to say, was Plato even around Jews? Like, because I don't know. Are you looking it
Let's
up?
see.
Jews have been around
Plato.
for 5,000 years.
Oh shit, he was like 427 to 348 BC. He hated Jews. He had Jews
As
around him. He hated them.
as one did back then.
As
Um,
one did.
I will. Okay, before we wrap things up, and um, before we wrap things up, and it's funny because this topic, what I'm about to express, kind of transitions well into our next episode that we're recording right after this.
Which is a good
But
idea because I'm flying to Dallas on Saturday, so I won't be around next week. So
oh,
that's
good, good.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no, Sarah has
wear
a
a mask so
meeting,
I
and she
look
was
like
like,
you.
Sarah has a meeting, so she was like, next Tuesday, so she was like, maybe Logan can sit downstairs by himself. I'm like, or I could just record 2 this week.
Yeah, I was gonna say we needed to record you,
But
and then you asked if we could, so we're ahead of the game.
perfect. So anyway, I will say, because I'm not good at expressing these things, that when I do, sometimes it comes off as real fucking weird. Alex could probably attest to that, because right before I had my the depression got so bad that I had to quit. Yeah, I see that Alex wants to mention canned credentials, but we don't have to. Only the first episode of the month. So our next episode that we're recording, we will do that. But we what was I saying? Oh, so I'm not good at expressing, so or I don't do it often, expressing like platonic uh, admiration and love and intimacy. So sometimes it comes off as real fucking weird. So last month, I told Alex, I texted Alex and said like I appreciated him, and he was like, "Okay, that was real corporate," and he named somebody at our job that like
Uh-huh.
higher up, and he was like, "Okay, thanks a lot," and I was like, "No, I'm having a really rough day, and I wanted you to know that I appreciate your help." And and I feel that way about you as well, and I don't say it well to anybody, but to both of you, I want you to know that I do love both of you.
I like you.
And I was like, what is he gonna do joke wise? So
I've given up all my Tuesday nights for the rest of my life for you, man.
the rest of your life,
Seems like it.
maybe we'll see. We'll be in like 5,000 episodes in. It's a lot of weeks, actually. I don't know. I don't know what the math is on that. It's probably
I don't know.
five
I have
thousand
an English
episodes
degree.
is
We have English degrees, but we don't ask us to do math. I was not
It's
told to be
a
math
lot
on
of
the
years.
podcast. I quit the podcast.
Anyway, so there's that. Do you have anything you want to say before we start telling everybody about the places to like and subscribe?
Just, I do want to mention that, um, Alex wanted us to mention that we're canned credential. I know we say it in the canned credential speech, but
Yeah,
since our last episode, it was like formally announced in social media by the canned
that's
people
right.
that we
Yeah,
like passed our probationary period, and we are now not allowed to be offensive anymore.
we are still allowed to be offensive. It's just that we could get
Fuck you. If I
taken to
say we're
task.
not allowed to be offensive,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I wanted, I know we're going to throw to Alex's bit in a second, but I really want to say we're growing a lot, but we would love it if you would go give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Whether you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube, super easy. If you're not already subscribed, just hit the button below to subscribe. If you're listening, go to YouTube. If you've got a Gmail, it's really easy. Or Gmail, or
go to
you
YouTube
log.
with all the Gmail accounts that you have. If you got
Yeah,
six dozen accounts, like us 6 dozen times.
where
It doesn't
I
hurt
would
you.
really love to hit. We've been growing a decent amount, and I would love to just like be able to hit 100 subscribers this month. So you could really help us do that. That would be great. But also, you know, if you're listening to this, give this a like and a review. That's also super helpful. Um, And if you wanted to give us money, which that's great, and we respect that and appreciate that, and we love that. You can give us money at patreon.com/talking about the big stuff. We have a few options there. For $1, you can watch the live streams as they happen. You can also get everything 4 days early when it's edited. And for $3, you can get an uncensored version. The live stream's uncensored, but after it's done being live, it goes only to the highest
For a
tier.
dollar, you get one chance to see it uncensored. Gotta
Yeah,
watch it
but
live.
like some people have been doing that. So
Yep. Yeah.
yeah,
You want to hear all the
And
shit I say that Mike's like, oh my God, I got to get rid of that. That's the cheap
yeah,
way to do it. Give us your Tuesday night, cut it slice.
yep. But there's other options on there. We, if you've probably remember that we've mentioned it in the past. There's an Apple subscription. We got rid of that because we changed our hosting site, and they no longer allow Apple subscription on there. And eventually, we can get on Spotify subscription, paid subscription service, but you have to hit certain thresholds that we haven't hit yet. But otherwise, yeah, just like and subscribe. It'd be great. Even if you don't want to give us $1, go on go on patreon.com/talking about the big stuff and just follow. You can follow for free. That helps us as well. So YouTube, Patreon, those are the places that we would really love it. If you just go give us the free subscription at best or at worst, and then if you want to give us $1 a month, that's awesome. So. And I want to thank our current patrons, Jeff and Zach and Erica. We really appreciate all of you. Anyway, all right. You got anything else to say, Matthew?
I just want to thank everybody for coming here. I love you. I love you all, but not in that way.
Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. It's just the beginning. If you have thoughts or questions or topics you'd like us to tackle in a future episode, drop us a line on our social media channels. Engage with this video when you are now watching it as a VOD on YouTube. Send us an email. We love hearing from our listeners, bringing us topics, because if you leave it up to the three of us, we're going to eventually be talking about underwater basket weaving. So we would appreciate you guys reaching out a little bit. Don't forget to subscribe to Talking About the Big Stuff on your favorite platform. Give us a 5-star rating. Engage with it. Criticize us. We need to grow and be better, and you're going to help us be there. You're going to help us get to that point. It really helps us more to reach out and also to keep the conversation going. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more big ideas and more thought-provoking discussions. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep talking about the big stuff.
The preceding podcast has been a Chocolate Diamond Media LLC production. Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.